we got the latest datamined new cards, variants, bundles, and more. And I wanted to talk about especially the new cards, but we'll take a look at everything. So these are specifically for the July 2023 season. Phoenix Force is the new season pass card, it looks like. And this art, by the way, is just incredibly cool. This is the June season as a recap. I already did a video on this one. You can probably track it down if you look for it. But this is what we're really here for. The new July 2023 season cards. As always, you know, some of these have been data mined in the past. They've been chilling in the game files for a little bit here and there, but these should be more final versions. That said, still not final versions. These are still data mined early. We don't know the final versions. Frankly, even when they do the reveal videos, we still don't know the final versions because High Evolutionary just got confirmed. He was revealed in the official reveal video as a 4-7, but he's actually going to be a 4-4 when he comes out next week. So these numbers, these effects are obviously subject to change. They should be generally, I think, directionally correct, let's say. They should have pretty similar effects and stats should be close, but maybe not perfect. So Phoenix Force is a 5/5, and I think this looks like the season pass card. So you spend your $10, whatever, you get Phoenix Force. It is an on reveal, revive one of your destroyed cards and merge with it. That card can move each turn. So that is a really cool effect. Holy crap, I haven't actually read these yet, so I'm both reacting and discussing at the same time. That's crazy. So you destroy a card early, and then you give it the stat bump here of the Phoenix Force, but you also give it the kind of vision effect that it can move each turn. Now, I guess I will say, as a 5-cost card, that does often limit your ability to do that multiple times. If you're playing this honestly on curve, you play this on 5, but you won't be able to move it until turn 6 would be your one chance to move it. So you'd have to maybe cheat this into play, summon it early in some way to activate this to get multiple moves, which could be cool if you did something like, you know, destroy a Human Torch or whatever, and then resummon the Human Torch with Phoenix Force, and then you get a chance to move your Human Torch yourself, basically, to give it like some bonus activations, which also just thematically with all the fire is kind of cool. That may not be your best example, but that's kind of the line. So that's kind of asking you, though, to merge destroy effects and destroy activators, perhaps with move synergy cards as well. Now, you don't have to, right? There could also just be like a good card you destroy early, and then you just attach these stats to it and have some more like final turn flexibility. So, you know, use a Venom to eat a demon or something on turn 4 or turn 3 or whatever, right? You make those stats permanent with Venom, which is great. You got yourself a 3/9 there, and then you res that demon and you attach Phoenix Force to it, and then you've got an 11 power card that can move on that final turn to give you a bunch of extra flexibility. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a move synergy card. It could also just be like a destroy synergy as well. That would be kind of cool. And then as a reminder, I think they're down here. Yeah, we got all these move cards teased as well. So there's going to be a lot of bonus movement stuff in this next couple months. So there might be some additional interactions here. You know, Spider-Man 2099 moving stuff. It only goes off the first time, I think. But yeah, I don't know. Might be some additional options there. So this is a crazy kind of card. A couple different potential synergies. I don't know if you like splash a little bit of destroy stuff in your move deck. I don't know if you splash a little bit of move in your destroy deck. I don't know if you look for a really targeted card where you're just really happy to destroy that specific thing for some reason. You know, it has some effect or synergy that's really cool to bring back, or just has really overstated for its cost kind of thing. Like Demon we talked about could be cool. So I don't know, this feels like it's going to be maybe a little bit more niche to me than like universally powerful. We've had some season pass cards that are like good in a lot of decks, and we've had others that are just maybe niche good in maybe one deck here or there, more like a Nimrod versus a Zabu that was good everywhere and best card in the game for a while. Still is very good. So I don't know. Yeah, more like a Nimrod. Yeah, that's exactly what I think too. More limited, but pretty fun. So anyway, moving on to Jean Grey. She's a new 3/3. Ongoing, players must play their first card here each turn if possible. So assuming no like location lockouts or Professor X lockouts or whatever, Jean Grey will force people to play a card in a given spot, which that actually seems really powerful against certain kind of decks that are only playing a small amount of stuff. Much like Morag can be a really restrictive location where You know, you some decks just can't work well into Morag because they can't split plays across 2 cards. Imagine that with Jean Grey, where it's like, God, I want to play a 4, a 5, and a 6 on curve. They have a Jean Grey down. All of my cards have to go into the Jean Grey location. I have to play all 3, which clearly is going to be an overcommitment and a waste of resources. So that seems really restrictive for certain decks. Other decks might not care much, just weave in a 1 cost and then play another thing elsewhere. So might be a little bit meta dependent. You know, Sandman combined with this could be kind of wacky and crazy. If you have Dr. Dooms and Captain Marvels in your deck and then your opponent doesn't, then you could force the Jean Grey, you know, favorably in your direction, basically. So you both have to play into the Jean Grey location, but you have the upside. So you're making all this stuff move elsewhere, whereas they're restricted to that single spot. So I don't know. The fact that it's symmetrical does add definitely some wrinkles. Like in the same way that it will only counter certain decks, it would only be utilized, I think, by certain decks as well. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody can run this, obviously, as a counter card, because you're also going to lock yourself out. A Sarah deck can't toss this in, and then, well, maybe a Sarah deck actually could. Maybe a Sarah deck's a good example, because they can really play cheap stuff next to it and then go elsewhere. So, interesting. No, I think if the location's full, you won't be locked out, because it's if possible. The if possible tag means it's going to open up. Man, that's kind of a crazy card. That actually seems... So, like, cards with, like, the Dr. Doom package of going wide seem really good with this. Like, his cards with discounts and a lot of cheap playable cards like Sarah actually seem really good with this. You know, the kind of single threat cards are not as good with this. If you're playing like Devil Dinosaurs in your deck, you don't want this maybe. But it does have ongoing synergies as well, which could be interesting because like Spectrum is a card that can go wide even though it's, you know, singular. It can still spread power out a little bit. Dude, that's kind of strong. I don't know. That looks really good to me. So next up is Echo, and this card looks crazy too. After your opponent plays an ongoing card here, remove its abilities. So this is of course an answer to ongoing cards. If you're worried your opponent is going to play a big Darkhawk in a location and you want to stop that Darkhawk from swinging the location, then you can preemptively play Echo, maybe even multiple turns ahead to you know, prevent them from playing their Darkhawk. And this does not have a counter ability, by the way. It's not an on reveal. It's not an ongoing card itself. So unanswerable other than through, you know, Killmonger or something maybe. So shuts down like threat development, Devil Dinos, Darkhawks, etc. preemptively. You could also, if you had priority, even snipe it looks like. This does not say like starting next turn or anything. So although the word play in Marvel Snap is sometimes a little weird with that, have they already played the card? Have you played them in the same turn? If it's turn 6... you have priority and you play Echo and your opponent plays a Darkhawk across from you, does the Echo negate the Darkhawk? Does play include both the staging of the card pre-reveal or does it include only the post-reveal part of the card? Same as Negasonic Teenage Warhead, so it would be the post-reveal. Okay. Man, that makes it nuts then. So if you call your shot, this is kind of like the ultimate Guardians of the Galaxy card. If you have priority and call your shot, you could deny a same turn threat, not just a preemptive threat. That's kind of nuts. Crazy for 1 energy too. Deny like your opponent's most powerful play or something. That's kind of wild. Also interesting, this is kind of a Cosmo counter. If you're worried about your opponent using a Cosmo to screw with you, you know, you could play the Echo where you don't want the Cosmo to be. So that, like, you know, if you have a Wong location or something, you're trying to protect your Wong for whatever reason, probably not the best example, but functional in this case. If you have a Wong location, you don't want them to Cosmo, you could play the Echo down. It is only opponent plays, so you're not going to mess up your own Wong. They try to Cosmo, well, they can't Cosmo if they see the Echo, but regardless, you can stop them from Cosmoing your on reveal location. So kind of a Cosmo counter too, which we've always been a little frustrated by the fact that we couldn't answer Cosmo. Now it is only a preemptive answer to Cosmo, so if they've already established the Cosmo, Echo's not as useful, obviously. Can't wipe it out after the fact, but if you can get ahead of it, maybe a little bit of a Cosmo counter. So that card's nuts. That actually seems really good to me. How many times could Echo proc? As many times as possible. There's no limitation, right? It doesn't say the first time your opponent plays a card here. It just keeps going off. If they could keep playing cards somehow, it would keep going, I guess. All right, next up is Legion, a 5/7 with on reveal. Replace each other location with this one. So this is kind of wild. Quake-esque, I guess. You know, Quake kind of shuffles locations around. This one turns them all into one spot, which it's hard for me to envision exactly how this is useful. I guess you could like storm on turn 4, but that doesn't really work because the flooding always delays a turn. I mean, obviously there's just like, okay, I love Onslaught Citadel and I want everything to be Onslaught Citadel or whatever. Like those locations will pop up and will have moments where Legion makes sense, but I'm thinking more about how do you construct a deck in a way to support this ability? Like how does it become reliable? How do you build into it? Because again, just to recap on the Storm, if you play Storm on 4, because you play Storm on 3, Legion will have time, obviously, unless you had some other kind of mana cheat or whatever. But if you play Storm on 3, irrelevant. If you play Storm on 4 to set up Legion, well, number one, you've played a 2 power play on turn 4, which probably puts you behind enough that you don't want to Legion because you're going to be behind. But number 2, the way flooding works when copied, if you copy a flooding location pre-flooded, if it's still in the flooding phase, if you copy it, it always adds another turn onto it. It never instantly shuts off when you copy it. We see that with like the turn 4 copy thing, whatever that location's called. So if you played Storm on 4 and then Legion on 5 in the Storm location, it would do nothing because you'd still have a turn 6 with 2 flooding locations available. So that's not a line. I don't know. I mean, so I guess it feels kind of like a tech card that's just like a crazy location tech card, but I don't feel like most decks are going to want to run that. I feel like deleting locations is more valuable than multiplying them, especially because this is just so expensive. At 5/7, it's not like it's a flexible little thing you throw into your deck. It's a big commitment. And I don't think the rate of return is going to be high enough to make this feel worth it. Seems just too expensive for a like occasionally good tech card kind of thing. If it was a 4, you could probably do that more often because you could toss it in a Zabu deck and it would feel like less of a commitment. But if it was a 4, it would shut off the game eternally with Storm, because Storm on 3, Legion on 4 would shut off turn 6 with the flooding location. So I don't think they want it to be 4. So this definitely looks like the weakest card so far to me. I see the least amount of utility in this. What about Rhino? I mean, like, yeah, okay, you can Rhino it, but why, I guess? Like, I've got 3 dead locations. What deck benefits from having 3 dead locations so much that you run 2 dead cards? You know what I mean? Like, locations are symmetrical to both players, so on average most decks have average results at locations. You know, maybe this is more of like a featured location tech card where it's like Onslaught Citadel is the featured location. I want to copy Onslaught Citadel. I've got Legion. It's really fun during hot locations or featured locations, and maybe not a card we consider a particularly relevant play normally. I think that's probably a reasonable conclusion. All right, so finally we've got Mirage, a new 2/2. I literally have not read this yet. On reveal, copy the lowest cost card in your opponent's hand into your hand. Give it +2 power. So, okay, a little bit of a value generator that also gives you some bonus power. So this feels a lot like a card like maybe Cable, as a 2/2 that generates you a thing, but it gives you bonus stats on that thing, and gives you some reconnaissance information on which cards your opponent has access to. You kind of know what they have, which I personally like better than Cable. Now, Cable takes a resource from your opponent, but keep in mind that that resource is at the bottom of their deck, so that's not a resource they were going to have anyway, so it doesn't really take a resource away from your opponent. It's just, you know, sometimes it's going to be a garbage resource, sometimes it's going to be a good resource, but they weren't going to have it anyway functionally. It's just random garbage. So Mirage gets you a resource that is going to be often a flexible resource because it's going to be low cost, and it's going to be an above rate resource because it's buffed, which definitely to me seems far more valuable than something like Cable. I mean, Cable does technically have some reconnaissance value, seeing what your opponent is not going to have access to, so very occasionally you'll hit their Galactus or whatever and you know they won't have it. Could give you some snapping confidence. I don't want to say this is like exclusively better than Cable, but I think in a lot of scenarios and a lot of decks, this is going to feel better than Cable. So I could absolutely see this in a Devil Dinosaur sort of deck that's trying to keep their hand full with stuff. They've already had cards like this getting played. Just get you a couple solid plays early along with some recon value. It also gives you some information about your opponent's curve too. Like if you play this on 2 and you hit a 4 drop, it's like, oh, the opponent's probably not gonna have a play next turn, sort of thing. Sometimes you'll get neat information like that because the lowest cost will kind of give you the lower value limit on their hand, which will help give you more information. If it hits a 1 cost, you may not learn much, but occasionally it's all 5s. What? They only have 5s? And then you can kind of snap or something perhaps. So this card looks really good. I think not like the most exciting effect, not a big grandiose effect like many of these, not a game altering effect in a lot of ways, but just high utility, high flexibility, easy to weave into a variety of different decks. You could see this in a lot of different packages. So it seems solid to me for that reason. I think I like this. Not flashy, but maybe pretty good. So again, we already covered these last time, so feel free to pause the video and read these if you haven't seen them, but I'm not going to cover them again. I also wanted to take a look at some of these cool variants though. Sick Arrow, yeah, sick Ant-Man, really painted style. Arnim Zola looks crazy in that. Looks like futuristic Arnim Zola. Oh, I like this Arnim Zola a lot. That's a cool Arnim Zola. That's really nice. That's a cool beast, dude. That's a fine Bishop. I like it. Oh, that's a sick Black Panther. Dude, these are good variants. Blob. We haven't seen Blob yet, but he's got some more variants. That looks like an Alex Horley Cable. I know Alex Horley art from Hearthstone so well. Pretty good Captain America. Pretty good Carnage. Cool Phoenix Force Colossus I think we saw above. Oh, sick Deadpool, dude. Mad Max looking Deadpool or something. That's cool. Kind of like the color muted Colossus. Whoa, crazy high-tech Space Death. Not a huge fan of this Deadpool. Looks like that Ryan Gonzalez maybe, which does make variants I like, but this one's just not jumping out at me. A little too crotchy maybe. That's all. Mecha Devil Dinosaur's fun. Ooh, I like this Dr. Doom a lot with all the flowers. Some nice lilies there. Sick Electra. Wow, that's cool. Oh, that's a sick Electra. Is that Peach Momoko Electra maybe? Cool Venom Gamora. That's a sick Gamora. Oh my god. Oh, what is this? I love this art style. Holy crap. Wow, I want that one a lot. That's very cool. Dude, that is sick. Not a big fan of the hazmat here. Oh, we got text in the card. Whoa. Pretty cool Human Torch. Pretty cool Iron Fist. Pretty cool Iron Man. Super cool Jean Grey. Wow, that looks nice. I like that Juggernaut actually. Whoa, that's a cool Kang, dude. That artist is just now showing up in Snap. I think you mean the Ghost Rider one? Expecting some great variants, yeah. Oh, Lady Deathstrike, dude. I always like that character. It's a fun Kitty Pride. Legion here. That's funny. Cool Magics, man. Oh, that's a sick Master Mold. I don't really like Master Mold's base art much, so that's pretty nice. Cool Moon Girl. This Mysterio looks crazy. Mr. Negative looks good. Not a fan of that Namor costume, I guess. Whoa. Crazy Demon Nightcrawler, man. Professor X looks cool. Oh, whoa. Sexy pose, Professor X. Punisher's eating pizza. Quake looks like Wonder Woman there to me. Cool Shang-Chi. Whoa, that Silver Samurai is awesome. Holy crap. That looks like MCU Ghost. It looks a lot like the MCU version of the costume. Crazy Nimrod. Echo is really big for some reason, but I like it a lot. That looks great. Oh, new locations is cool. Lake Hellas. 1-cost cards have plus power. We don't know how much, I guess. Some amount. White Hot Room. First to fill this gets +3 max energy. Whoa, that seems crazy. Dude. Spam cards early and then go bonkers with crazy max energy, huh? Yeah, we saw these before. Okay, cool guys. That's the leaked stuff for the new patch. Looks good.